All right, so picture this. You wake up, and instead of rolling out of your bedroom into a kitchen, you're basically already halfway there because you're living in a 22-foot RV. That's where Dante Reynolds and his family found themselves after losing their 4-bedroom house in Southern Oregon when his mum's daycare business folded. It's a huge adjustment. Imagine cramming your life into, maybe 175 square feet at best? Dante, his little sister, and his mum, Andrea, now share this tiny space, juggling daily routines like, honestly, urban camping, but every single day.
Yeah. And you hear about these stories, but when you start looking at the details, it's just so real, right? Lunches are like, Dante's cutting up fruit on a cutting board balanced on a bed, while his mom uses this tiny gas stove for cooking. Limited water, shared electricity, and if they can't even afford the campground, they go to federal land where you get 2 weeks for free, but no Wi-Fi, no utilities, nothing. So bathing in a river using the woods, that's survival mode, not a weekend getaway.
Honestly, Lior, listening to that just made me think about all the times I tried to camp for fun, like the so-called roughing it, but I always had, the luxury of bailing after a day if my tent copped it. Once, I brought a solar shower and forgot to actually leave it in the sun, so freezing cold water every single time. It was more of a novelty, but for families like Dante's, it's not optional. It's literally their daily reality, and adapt or else seems to be the motto. Dante actually said, if we don't adapt, we won't change, and if we're mad, that just sucks. What a little legend, right? If a little bit heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah, it's not a summer holiday, that's for sure. And, we talk about adapting, but it's about compressing your life. Packing all your memories, your furniture, your kids' toys, everything into storage bins or just letting go. And like we discussed back in our housing affordability episode, this isn't just about making do. It's a new normal for more and more people now.
Exactly. And the numbers are kind of staggering, Lior. The RV Industry Association says about 486,000 people now live full-time in RVs. That's more than double just since 2021. And like a third of them are families with kids. So definitely not just your retirement crowd or the classic Instagram wanderers sipping coffee by a mountain lake. The US Census pegs it a bit lower, but still, a 41% growth since 2019. 342,000 people living in RVs, boats, or vans. That's a proper movement, not just, a quirky lifestyle.
Right. So let's say who is actually making this shift. It's workers like childcare staff, home health aides, retirees trying to stretch Social Security, even disabled veterans. Most of these households are earning under $75,000. The stereotype of digital nomads, or the retirees with a big RV going from national park to national park. No, actually that's just a slim slice. For most, it's not about adventure. It's about survival with some flexibility thrown in.
So, Leo, I'm curious, you see all this through both the economics and the sort of American cultural lens. Do you think this is the next phase of the so-called American dream? Or is it a warning sign like, hey, the whole system's busted if families have to do this?
I think it's both, honestly. There's definitely creativity and self-reliance. So the idea of reinventing home is very American, very entrepreneurial. But it's also, let's be real, a pretty clear symptom that the housing system isn't giving enough people a path to stability. When you've got people like Dante's mom, who was making almost $100,000 running a small business, suddenly on the move in an RV, that's an economic red flag, not just a quirky twist. And we talked in that last episode about regional affordability gaps. And here, this is where those gaps show up in real life. It's not just numbers, it's how people are living right now.
Yeah, it really cuts through the van life fantasies you see on TikTok. But at the same time, it's remarkable how people find ways to adapt and carve out a life, even if it's not what they planned. And I guess, like you said, this is the shape resilience takes for a lot of Americans today.
That's a good point. Because, people hear, oh, you're saving on rent, but living in an RV is not cheap in the long run. For example, Kat Tucker, a disabled vet, bought an RV hoping for stability, ended up with breakdowns and paying $350 a month on a $2,100 loan that may not even be worth it in 5 years. Repairs, plumbing, the AC, the generator, these things aren't designed to be homes year-round, so maintenance is expensive and persistent. And banks, they often won't lend on old rigs. It's maybe less of an escape, more like a financial balancing act.
Totally. And where do you even park these things? That's a whole new level of stress. Long-term RV parks can be $800 a month. Campgrounds kick you out after 2 weeks. And if you're not careful where you park, you might even get fined. But in spite of all that, there's something kind of amazing about how people reclaim whatever space they can. Like Debbie Williams in Chattanooga, she turned her little RV lot into this inviting living room outdoors. Rug, fire pit, furniture, even looking after the stray cats. It's that bit of home right in the middle of a parking problem.
Yeah, and besides, there's usually a community feel that forms. You help each other out, share what works, share water, or a campfire. People like Gus Francis, he says, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Makes sense. But there's fragility here too. A sudden job loss, an RV breakdown, or a natural disaster can wipe you out overnight. These families build a sense of home that's portable, but it's always at some level of risk.
But there's growth too, especially for the kids. Like Dante used to be a bit of a shut-in, but now he's learning to fish, problem solve, spend time outdoors, and even cook. He says he actually feels healthier, and that's kind of unexpected, isn't it? They're reimagining home, making it about adaptability, resourcefulness, and, I guess, resilience more than a fixed address on a mortgage statement.
Exactly. It's not a solution to the bigger structural problems. It's a workaround. And you see families like the Stitz redefining home, but it's not really by choice. Still, there's courage in that adaptation. I think a lot of listeners can relate to building something out of unexpected circumstances, even if it's not the dream they started with.
And that's probably a good spot to wrap for today. The RV boom is reshaping what home means for so many Americans, not as a trend, but out of sheer necessity. There's hardship in it, but there's also grit and this unexpected sense of community. We'll keep following these stories and maybe, just maybe, find some hope and practical advice for navigating what comes next. Leo, thanks for chatting with me about all this.
Thank you, Ruby. Always a pleasure. And thanks to everyone listening. Don't forget, we're back soon with new perspectives on real estate and the ever-changing world of housing. See you next time.